Every parent knows that unbearable ache of watching your child's world fall apart while you're powerless to fix it. For Jesse Halden, that ache felt heavier than the flooded garage in front of him, a broken concrete shell filled with months of stale, black water. It was all he had left, and the entire town said it wasn't worth a dime. Standing there with only $2,000 in his pocket and an eviction notice crumpled against his chest, Jesse looked like a man gambling with ghosts. His 10-year-old son, Marcus, sat quietly in their beat-up pickup truck, eyes wide with a mix of fear and faith. 3 days. That's how long before they'd lose the small apartment they'd been calling home since Jesse's wife, Sarah, passed away. Life had stripped him of almost everything, his job, his savings, his confidence, and now this flooded wreck was his last bet at redemption. But somewhere beneath that stagnant water, buried under mud and memory, something extraordinary waited for him, something that would change not just his life, but the world's understanding of what one man's dream could create. What Jesse didn't know was that this ruined place wasn't filled with junk. It was filled with history, invention, and fortune hidden by time. That morning, as cold wind swept through the valley, Jesse wasn't just buying a garage. He was unknowingly buying the key to a $150 million legacy left behind by a forgotten genius. 3 years earlier, Jesse had been the kind of man every small-town mechanic respected: steady hands, calm voice, a knack for diagnosing car troubles just by sound. He had a loving wife, a small house on Maple Street, and a son who thought he could fix anything. But when Sarah's cancer came like a sudden storm, every plan, every paycheck, every ounce of stability vanished. The medical bills drowned them faster than any flood ever could. After she died, grief hollowed Jesse out. He stopped caring about cars, clients, and life itself. When he finally tried returning to work, his position had already been filled, replaced by someone faster, cheaper, younger. 18 months later, Jesse found himself sitting in his rusted pickup, staring at an auction flyer for a flooded property, Martin Tesla's old automotive garage. It was rumored to be destroyed, filled with mold and water, nothing worth salvaging. But hope doesn't ask for permission, and desperation doesn't wait for logic. Marcus looked up from his coloring book and asked softly, "Dad, do you think Mom would want us to try?" Jesse's voice cracked when he said, "She'd want us to believe good things still happen." When the auctioneer called for bids, only Jesse's hand rose. $2,000 later, the gavel slammed down, and a broke father became the owner of what everyone else thought was garbage. When Jesse first unlocked the rusted gate, the smell hit him like a wall, rot, oil, and something ancient. The garage stood half-submerged, its concrete floor invisible under 2 feet of dark, motionless water. His best friend Tommy came to help, hauling a pump and waders from his truck. "You sure about this, Jess?" he asked. "Sometimes being sure is a luxury," Jesse said. They waded in, boots breaking the surface of forgotten history. The lantern light bounced across floating debris, torn insulation, rusted tools, warped manuals, and then something unexpected: framed photos still clinging to the upper walls, untouched by water. Martin Tesla, thin, sharp-eyed, smiling beside cars that didn't look like anything Jesse had ever seen. Sleek bodies, futuristic curves, a design decades ahead of its time. "You think he built prototypes?" Tommy asked, studying the photos. "He built dreams," Jesse murmured. The deeper they went, the more the place felt preserved, not destroyed. When Marcus pointed out a sealed door behind a wall of cabinets, Jesse's pulse quickened. The hinges were old but strong, the lock rusted but still intact. He didn't know it yet, but behind that door lay a secret that would turn his flooded nightmare into one of the greatest discoveries in automotive history. Days of draining and cleaning passed until finally the water was gone. The floor revealed not ruin but resilience. Under the grime, hydraulic lifts still worked, the structure was sound, and the drainage system was brilliantly engineered. While clearing debris near the back wall, Marcus found something odd, a movable cabinet blocking a small concrete door. Behind it lay a sealed partition that didn't appear on any blueprint. "Dad, look!" Marcus called, voice trembling. Jesse and Tommy pried the door open. A gust of stale air whooshed out, carrying the scent of dust and metal untouched for decades. Inside was a workshop, pristine, organized, almost sacred. Benches lined with instruments, schematics, and what looked like hand-built tools of extreme precision. And in the center, under a heavy tarp, was a shape that made time stop. Jesse hesitated. His hands shook as he pulled T. The tarp away, revealing a vehicle unlike anything he'd ever seen. Its surface shimmered like polished graphite, its design both alien and elegant. No exhaust, no engine bay, just seamless perfection. Tommy whispered, "What in God's name is that?" Jesse didn't answer, because he knew whatever it wasn't from this time. The next day, Jesse returned with Tommy and Mrs. Chen, their elderly landlord who'd once known Martin Tesla personally. "He was a quiet man," she said softly, "always working on something he called the future's engine." As they stepped into the hidden workshop, she pointed at the strange machine. "That's it. He said the world wasn't ready." They examined everything, blueprints labeled with equations Jesse couldn't understand, documents showing patents for electric propulsion decades before Tesla or Rivian existed. Tommy found clippings from the 1980s, headlines about Martin's impossible electric car. He'd been dismissed as eccentric, too far ahead of his time. But here it was, proof of everything. Mrs. Chen's eyes watered. "He told me once," she said, "that one day someone who truly needed it would find his work." Jesse stared at the silent vehicle, realizing that someone might be him. The irony cut deep. He'd come searching for scraps, and instead he'd found an invention that could rewrite automotive history. But buried genius brings buried attention, and word of the discovery wouldn't stay secret for long. Within days, whispers turned into headlines. Local newspapers called it the Tesla Phoenix. Reporters swarmed the street. Collectors, lawyers, even automotive giants started calling, each offering money Jesse couldn't comprehend. 50 million, 75, some claiming 100. He turned off his phone, locked the gates, and tried to breathe. Dr. Elizabeth Morrison, a university engineer, arrived offering help to protect the invention. She confirmed it wasn't just a prototype, it was revolutionary. "This thing integrates power recovery and distributed propulsion," she said. "It's 50 years ahead of modern EVs." But with discovery came chaos. Tesla's surviving relatives, investors, and corporations all claimed ownership. Jesse's little garage turned into the center of a legal and moral war. At night, Marcus asked, "Dad, are we in trouble?" Jesse knelt beside him and said, "No, son, we're in history." What began as a rescue mission for a flooded building had become a fight to protect the dream of a forgotten inventor, and the soul of one struggling father trying to do the right thing. Then came Mrs. Chen again, holding an envelope she'd kept hidden for years. Inside was Martin Tesla's final letter, notarized, dated, and addressed to the one who restores my workshop. The letter revealed everything. Martin had predicted the flood and intentionally left his work behind, stating that whoever had the courage to rebuild his garage would inherit not only his research but his mission, to make clean, efficient energy free for everyone. His will left the intellectual property to the rightful restorer of Tesla Automotive. Legal experts confirmed it was binding. Overnight, Jesse's world flipped again. Media called him the broke mechanic who found the future. Offers skyrocketed to over $150 million. But Jesse didn't sell. He remembered Sarah's voice. Sometimes the most broken things are worth the most when you fix them. He knew this wasn't just about money. It was about legacy, about giving Marcus a world his mother would have believed in. So he made a choice. He'd partner with universities to develop Martin's technology for real-world use. The man who lost everything would now give the world a future it never saw coming. Months later, the old flooded garage stood reborn, bright lights, clean floors, and a plaque that read Tesla Automotive, reimagined by Jesse and Marcus Halden. Engineers from around the world came to study the prototype. Investors poured in funding. Jesse was no longer the broke father standing in the rain. He was a man who rebuilt both a garage and a destiny. And yet he never forgot that first night staring at stagnant water, wondering if hope was foolish. He'd learned the truth, sometimes. What looks like failure is just fortune covered in dust. Marcus, now older and more confident, would often ask, "Dad, what would Mom think of all this?" Jesse would smile, look at the gleaming prototype and say, "She'd say we fixed the most broken thing of all ourselves." And for every listener hearing this story right now, remember, your next miracle might be hiding where everyone else saw only a mess. So never stop digging. Never stop believing. And if this story moved you, make sure to subscribe, because the next one might just remind you that hope always has a heartbeat.